Hey everybody. So welcome. Today we are going to be interviewing Dr. Arielle Griffiths, and it's all going to be about the gut. Now, we all know it's super important for us personally to keep our guts healthy. Well, it's really important for you to be keeping your dog's gut healthy too. Hi, Dr. Arielle. How are you? I'm really good, thank you. I've just listened to myself on the WoofYou podcast, and I've just got this surge of like, oh, so we'll get started then. So today we're going to talk about the gut, and I know a little bit about the gut, but let's ask you some questions because I know I always learn lots and lots of really interesting things from you whenever I do a live.
Yep.
So shall we get to it? Why is canine gut or digestive system, why is it so important, and what is it? Let's kind of go back to basics, I suppose.
Basically, we are alive because bacteria let us live. And actually, the secret of the success of plant-based food is all down to feeding the gut microbiome and really looking after the gut microbiome properly. And what I mean by we are alive and our dogs are alive because bacteria let us live is there's actually 10 times more cells of the trillions of bacteria and viruses and fungi that make up our gut microbiome than there are dog cells. Incredibly, there's far more DNA of all these bacteria than there are dog cells and human cells. And amazingly, they've found that the gut microbiome of both us and our dogs in certain families is very similar. We all share a common there's going to be certain areas where the gut microbiome is different in the UK, and they put it down to possibly in the water, possibly higher chlorine levels in the water, different diets that people eat. But they've actually done studies on the human gut microbiome, on the dog gut microbiome, to help them with assessing human obesity issues. I mean, how amazing is that they've actually used right. the sort of the other way around is we're being the guinea pigs here, but dog, because our gut microbiomes are so similar, so it's such, we know since COVID, since there was something called the ZOE study that was published by Professor Tim Spector from Oxford University. He actually put together this incredible study since COVID, which actually showed that people who were following a primarily plant-based diet or had a high level of non-processed plant-based ingredients in their diet had a far less risk of catching COVID, first of all, but if they did get it, they have their risk of actually having any long COVID symptoms are almost reduced. And this has all been put down to the gut microbiome.
So, I mean, I suppose you could also say that if a dog has a healthy gut, then they're also better prepared and able to withstand environmental allergens, dust mite allergies, potentially, things like that. So it all comes back, if you have a healthy gut, then your dog is healthier and able to withstand things. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Shall we talk about what you're talking about, introducing this fresh plant-based type fiber? So how does it work then? So the gut has trillions of bacteria, and it's at the bottom of the gut that they need feeding to continue to be beneficial.
We have
is that right?
Good gut bacteria, and we've got all different varieties, and all dogs and all people have different varieties of them in different proportions. And these good gut bacteria are a bit like any species. They just want to thrive and they want to live and they want their environment to be right and they want to be fed the right types of food so that they can replicate and they can produce their own what are called postbiotics. So this is the breakdown of all the fiber that comes in, and where these good gut bacteria get their food from is from fiber. So as soon as we have a diet, whether it's us or our dogs, that's actually low in fiber, we're not feeding our good gut bacteria. And what these good gut bacteria are able to do is mammalian enzymes are unable to break down the little fibrous particles that hold these incredibly important nutrients called antioxidants or polyphenols, for example. And the good gut bacteria are able to actually cleave, they sort of break open this fiber and release these fantastic antioxidants. And actually what they do is their product, what they make by eating the fiber, these good gut bacteria, is they make something called short chain fatty acids. And what these short chain fatty acids do is they almost act like they form a lovely lining to the, when you think of the villi of the intestine that are formed, I'll show my fingers like this, they form this wonderful biofilm which forms a protective layer. And what this, because it's just the right pH, everything is just right with these essential fatty acids that are being produced by these good gut bacteria. And what these essential fatty acids do is they form this wonderful protective biofilm across all the villi in the intestine. And this allows for the important nutrients to be absorbed into the body of our dog. And these are nutrients like vitamin E and selenium and iron and the amino acids. But at the same time, they stop the toxins from entering. And they stop, these toxins are going to be the nasties, the free radicals, the things that are dangerous, or the dangerous bacteria. So 70% of our dog's immunity and our immunity sits actually in our digestive tract, is actually governed by our digestive tract. So that it's almost the wall to the outside, really, is our digestive tract.
So if a dog has a healthy gut, then a dog will be significantly healthier for many, many different reasons, like protecting against toxins, as well as allowing really important vitamin and mineral absorption, which we all know helps with eyes, skin, cellular growth, hair, like everything, hormones, behavior,
so
like everything.
It doesn't just give
Amazing.
a healthy barrier to the intestine, it also gives us healthy skin barrier that we have on the outside of the skin of our dog, and it stops the inflammatory cells. If you've got a really healthy gut bacteria, you stopping any inflammation from happening, and so you immediately get a healthier skin immediately with us and with our dogs. And this comes mainly from a fresh food diet will do all of this. But some dogs have to only be plant-based, and I think those are the ones that people who own dogs that suffer with such a severe intolerance to animal proteins, which is the most likely cause of an intolerance in dogs, is dairy. And obviously it has the same DNA because it comes from a cow, and beef. And this causes severe problems with the gut. It causes such severe inflammation that you obviously get a breakdown of this lovely biofilm layer. So the best way to do this is to eliminate the problem and actually not feed your dog any animal protein. So people who were feeding their dogs meat-based, or maybe they've been recommended by their vet to give a hydrolyzed protein diet, where these are foods that are highly processed, where they've tried to break down the meat protein into tiny particles so the body doesn't recognize it as an allergen. But 60% of dogs will still react to those, and they are very highly processed, very low in protein. But a plant...
And very low in those really important fibres that you talked about, which feed the beneficial bacteria, because there's nothing in processed. You would think that these enormous
companies that have produced these processed hydrolyzed meat-based diets would know about the importance of a gut microbiome and actually include a huge amount of the really healthy, even if it's psyllium husks, for example, which is being included now in so many of the good plant-based foods.
We have psyllium husks in our Umameo treat pack.
And psyllium is just fantastic for dogs with inflamed guts. It's one of the most natural plant sources that feeds those good gut bacteria. They absolutely love it, but it also forms a lovely mucilaginous layer as well. So it's gentle on an inflamed gut.
If a dog has some gut problems, you say there's a few things they can do. And one is to add psyllium husks into their diet. If they're not using Fleetful Umameo's treat packs or anything like that, how much would they use? How would they normally add it to a dog's diet?
With inflamed guts, but also dogs with anal gland issues. So good or dogs that eat a huge amount of grass and aren't getting enough fibre. Psyllium husks, you can just buy lovely natural psyllium husks. You can buy them from Buy Whole Foods online, and it can be given quite safely at a dose of about a tablespoon for an average 20-kilogram dog. About a tablespoon added in each portion of food if the dog has chronic diarrhea problems. And even just that is a start for people who don't want to switch immediately onto a plant-based diet. Even just that little change, if the dog is on a very high meat-based diet, especially those raw-fed dogs, those would benefit massively. But obviously being fully plant-based really is the healthiest. I went to the Veg Fest this weekend in Brighton, and I attended all the lectures on the Saturday morning. There was one after another. It was just fascinating. It was all from plant-based health doctors, and it was all revolved around plant-based nutrition in humans and the benefits of being plant-based and the number of diseases that are healed through just changing your diet to a non-processed, high plant-based diet. And I just sat there and it just mirrored exactly the same as I'm seeing this with dogs.
Well, this is the thing, because on your website we've got all these case studies of, and I know this is controversial to say, but essentially healed through food. So they've contacted you through whatever package that you've offered. And by the way, if anybody has got any problems with their dog's health or anything, I would really recommend just talking to Dr. Arielle. We'll put some links down below. And anyway, there's loads of case studies on your website around dogs that have literally healed through eating either a plant-based diet or a fresh plant-based diet.
It's almost daily that I'm just getting more and more and more. It's the most satisfying thing, because it's an avenue that's never really been explored properly by vets, because there's just no time in a consulting room to actually fully focus on nutrition. But the basis of all our health is nutrition, and the basis of all our dogs' health, long-term health, is nutrition, to prevent the use of over-medicating, of the need for antibiotics. And I actually, over the weekend, I wrote an article, because I'm having more and more people who are contacting me so worried about the side effects of Apoquel. I'm going off topic here, which is given out, and that'll be we'll have to do that another time. But I've actually put the data sheet in my website, and it's quite horrific and it's frightening, and I can understand why people are terrified to give this medication, which is so harmful to their dogs.
Yeah. Well, isn't it harmful to the gut microbiome as well, I've heard? So this Apoquel that everybody's given their dogs if they've got sensitivity.
Yes, not so much for the gut microbiome, but it switches on cancer in dogs. And you'll see I've actually put, but as I say, this is for another talk, because it's fascinating. But if vets just took the time to explain to people, if they knew this, what I know, and I'm going to try and spread this message so far and wide, which is why you're great, Holly, at least getting my voice out there somehow, even if it's through the medium of Instagram. But the changes that you can see with putting dogs, it's such a gentle way of nurturing their health naturally, without resorting to medication or expensive food, highly processed food that you're going to be buying, that you cannot be maintained on, and that dogs don't like because it's so highly unpalatable.
I know. Well, this is the thing, and this is why I know that what we're doing with Fleetful is right, because every time we get a new customer, that's it. They are our customer, and they never go back, because they instantly see the health benefits of what a fresh plant-based diet can do, and that all stems right from the gut. because it helps feed their
Yes,
gut.
everything about plant-based nutrition in dogs centers around feeding that gut microbiome, just maintaining that healthy environment, which enhances the health. And you spoke a little bit about behavior. Now, behavior is a massive one as well. That changes. So it's very well known in humans that. Well, this is one of the talks I went to actually on Saturday for humans, is the treatment of depression with adding plants to a person's diet and taking them away from a processed diet with medication, putting them onto plant-based whole food diet, and actually their depression is cured. And I'm seeing the same in dogs, because 90% of the serotonin in the body, the hormone serotonin, is made in the gut by the good gut bacteria, because serotonin has the effect of causing what's called peristalsis. It pushes the food along the gut. But we all know what serotonin does in the body is it goes straight to the brain, and it calms you, and it makes you just feel happier. And I gave a talk at the Veg Fest on Saturday as well, and I gave the story about, I mentioned all of this in my talk about the gut microbiome, because it's just so important. But I also spoke about one of my favorite dogs is Drake, and Drake is a 60-kilogram rescue Great Dane whose mum, she home cooks for him, and she bought a huge 20-kilogram pot. And he suffered with such severe skin issues, anal gland issues. But the main thing that worried her so much is he had 2 rescue homes, and the main thing was how frightened he was when he arrived in her home. And he's a huge dog, but suffered with such anxiety issues, and he used to go and hide behind the sofa when the postman came to the door. He was terrible. He just used to see a shadow of someone coming to the door, and he would go and hide behind the sofa. And in a matter of a few weeks of him being on this home cooked, it was all supplemented, like Fleetful, using the Just Be Kind supplement. Within a few weeks of her home cooking, he obviously the pain went away, because he was no longer chewing his paws, and his ears weren't itchy, his skin became so soft. But he suddenly started going to the door when people came, wagging his tail. So that's an immediate behavior change that can only come about through that intense overflow of serotonin that you're getting by feeding that good gut bacteria. And we've also got little Teddy as well. I know he has both Fleetful, and she also home cooks for him and uses a supplement. And he was also a very anxious little dog. When they used to take him for walks, he used to be quite aggressive around the other dogs in the park. Since going plant-based, I've interviewed his owner, Teddy, not Freddie, Teddy has a whole lot of friends now in the park. He's lost that aggression, that fear. Aggression comes through anxiety, but since being plant-based, again, the high level of serotonin from his gut bacteria. But it's all boils down, the whole secret to everything, the success of Fleetful, the success of Just Be Kind, and everything that we both preach is the gut microbiome, is a healthy gut.
Well, the success for doggy health,
absolutely,
full stop, is the gut.
That's right.
Is feeding plant-based fibres.